Matt and Mike's Matinee.
Hello, everybody. We're doing the second Catchup video. We still don't have a name for these. We are currently hard at work coming up with a better name for these. But at the meantime, we're going to go with Catchup number 2.
We're still workshopping it.
We're still workshopping
If you guys have any ideas of what to call it and title it, Catchup just sounds too much like the dip for fries.
I know. And nobody wants to watch that.
We need something. What about a name that's a little bit more like butter? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
like popcorn butter.
We'll just keep of all the food ideas and all the food ideas you got.
So let's roll into this video.
So we're gonna start with this time. We're gonna start with Tron Ares, which we went to go see together in the theater. We're once again, just like the first part, we're gonna cover the movies we've both seen, and then we're gonna get into some films that Mike's seen and I haven't, or I've seen and Mike hasn't, just like the first. So Tron Ares, we kind of both maybe decided to go see this because we've both seen the previous Tron films.
Correct.
I think you have a stronger connection than I do because you
With
just recently
Tron,
actually showed me the very first Tron movie this year.
I did.
Because I had only seen the second Tron film when it came out in theaters back when I was a kid, and I barely remember anything from it. So you're definitely going to be the authority, the Tron authority in this review.
Yeah. So,
but I will say that I kind of was interested though because every single Tron film has a pretty good soundtrack done by a very the second movie was done by Daft Punk, and this one was done by 9 Inch Nails.
Oh,
which is the reason why I wanted to go see it, and it's great. It's easily the best part of the movie. Their soundtrack,
it's by far the only good part
of
the movie, pretty much.
Yeah, it's the only part. Yeah, that's like good.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that's passable. Spoiler alert for how I feel about the movie, but almost, but really. When I was watching the film, I think the sentiment you and me both had was if this was turned into just a music movie, like Wave Twisters or Beatles' Yellow Submarine or something like that, where it's just the music plus the visuals was the focus, it would have been really neat. Because anytime that someone starts speaking in this movie, the quality drops hard.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime that the music is the main focus, something about it mixed with the high-tech visuals and the neon colors and stuff just matched perfectly for what we were watching.
Yeah, and no matter what the tone of the shot is, whether it's a kind of a really interesting kind of a speedboat chase,
specifically the speedboat
is really cool, or the scene
gave me chills.
Yeah, that's really good because the direction's really interesting. Kind of, it's not done as a super high stakes adrenaline pumping kind of chase. It's kind of like a more somber kind of slower paced scene, which is not something you usually see in an action sequence.
The scene is very fast paced and very high stakes.
Yeah.
But the music is the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's really cool how and the other scene where the main AI character is kind of
Ares.
Yeah, Ares is kind of sifting through a bunch of photographs of a character that he's basically profiling to kind of hunt down, and it's kind of like unveiling a lot of stuff about her past.
Yeah,
that scene is great because it's also done in silence, and the music is really a real great song is played during that sequence.
The way that the visuals show up on screen and mix together is perfect. But then they tell you the story.
Yeah,
and the story has so many plot holes. And WTFs in it that it drastically hurts the quality of the movie.
Yeah, it's just full of a lot with a lot of the problems I have with a lot of modern blockbusters. It treats its audience really dumb. It tells you a lot of the
way too much of
what
the same
you're supposed
things
to feel and
over
think
and over again.
And then what it is telling you is sometimes, as you said, so plot riddled. So plot hole riddled that you're just, if you stop to think about anything for a half a minute,
does not make sense.
It's just it's like boring. It's not an interesting.
Matt,
the characters aren't interesting.
Tron
the
Ares,
comedic,
it's boring.
It's boring. The comedic side character in this, the burrito man, who you hated every single time he showed up on the screen.
So the very first scene, you're trying to establish these characters. The main character is having a very heartfelt moment about her sister who just passed away of something really tragic, and then he pops in as the goofy sidekick talking about burritos, and it just completely demolishes any kind of empathy you have for the main character.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. And the movie constantly falls in it falls prey to it wanting to jump, not wanting to dwell on any of the emotional sequences too long. It just wants to jump straight into the action, straight into the info dump.
Very much to its detrimental.
It's rough, and it just kind of just ends up kind of making me feel nothing at the end of the day. Not really, because the action scenes aren't interesting because they're silly. The conflict isn't. It dwells on like a lot of characters that you just don't find very intriguing.
And we focus on the bike scene?
Yeah, like we'll just use as an example.
As an example,
not to get super in detailed, but the
main character is being chased
by
on a Tron bike
by the Ares AI,
by the Ares AI, and then his sidekick.
Right,
and then they go to a parking garage, and for some reason, main character decides to hide, and then whenever the second AI is coming up the spiral, she throws the bike for some reason at the AI into a pit, and the AI has feelings for some reason.
Not feelings, like sensations. It acts as if it was
knocked
the blow knocked it out,
yes,
and it was stunned, even though it's a program that's like 3D printed from the internet. That is a program.
Yeah,
so you're like
they establish that they don't have like feelings of cutting off their arms and stuff like. They establish you can't feel the rain. So how did they get knocked out?
Right.
Now let's fix the scene. Right. So instead of your character falling flat on their face and acting like they're knocked out for 3 seconds in an already too slow sequence, you should have had the character land in a superhero pose and then just start running up the spiral.
Right. Either that, or as I said, they land and they immediately, Undertaker, just immediately hit impact and then just rise up.
It would have been so much more interesting.
It would have been interesting. But that's the thing is, anytime you think about earlier, like I said, anytime you think about the mechanics, what's going on, it doesn't make any sense. Or how it's anything that's 3D printed from the grid, where this movie's version of the grid has a time limit.
But so only if the plot needs it.
well, then it's okay, we have a time limit, and I can 3D print vehicles to chase someone down with. So I'm only ever going to 3D print like bikes or land vehicles to try to chase someone down with, instead of 3D printing the planes.
The planes that can go over everything and to make a straight A to B line.
I know, it's so dumb.
It's backwards. Also, the whole plot point is told from 2 CEO perspectives, which gives the common person no way of connecting to any of the characters. There's not a normal person driving this movie in the whole thing.
Compared to the first Tron.
Compared to the first and second one. The first and second one.
Well, they were also scientists, but they weren't
not the second one. The second one, he was just
a
guy off the side of the road.
You're right. Yeah. So
he was smart, you know what I mean? He knew what he was doing, but...
And then the whole thing where they're we're going to solve world hunger by, finding this permanence code.
Yeah.
And then if we do, we can 3D print digital food from the internet, I guess, that'll somehow...
give nutrition and everything you need.
And that hurts me, too. It's okay, you have a permanence code that, the tree won't disappear.
Yeah.
But how does that equate to... it actually being
physically actually
nutritional,
scientifically working.
It's a 3D printed image of an orange that doesn't disappear, but it's not an actual orange.
No, they prove it by the fact that it collapses into absolutely nothing.
Right? Yeah. Because once again, the conversation between regular intelligence, and artificial intelligence, that makes more sense, and you're able to put the artificial intelligence into a body.
Correct.
So then it's but what's really separating the AIs from us? But that's completely different than food.
Yes.
Or something like that. So,
but here, if the overlying issue is world hunger, right? that's feeding somebody in the real life. Why not just put them into the space that's already been created, the grid?
Yeah.
Like, if you can already upload somebody into the grid, do they need food in there?
Right, and also we also learned that anybody that's like a human you put into the grid, it doesn't matter that their body's destroyed and they're rebuilt into the grid and they become like an AI.
They're built with something different.
The AI rules no longer apply to them, and then they can be 3D printed out of the grid
conveniently
without any of the time limits.
Exactly.
So there's no penalties. So if someone's like dying of like a disease, just print them into the grid, wait till there's a cure, and print them out of it. Or someone's like,
they
you know
just
what I mean?
live in the grid.
Well, and even the
fine.
idea of the CEO going, we need to like 3D print these weapons of war out of here, and that's why we need the permanence code, is silly when they realize that they have made like actual portable guns that can zap people into the grid.
Yeah.
So what's the point of even
spending all the money, the effort, the engineering of bringing things from the digital world into real life
when you could just immediately just zap your enemies away instantaneously?
Yeah. What's the point? That's pretty much the synopsis of the whole movie. What's the point?
And the thing is that the movie is dull, so that's what my brain was doing in the movie. Because like there are plenty of movies I like that have tons of plot holes and inconsistencies if you really sit there and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But a good movie will not give you a chance to do it because you'll just like be like, I like the characters and the story and the adventure so much. I'm not sitting there dwelling on that stuff. Well, this movie kind of draws attention to those things in the plot, and it makes but then none of the characters are interesting. So my brain is just doing that all the time.
Exactly.
So the experience is just
ruined.
Yeah.
But until the music plays.
And
if it wasn't for the music, this would be an absolute no-watch movie.
Well, yeah, because I will say at least this: it's not bad. It's just very dull.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because of it, I was kind of dwelling between a 4 and a 5.
Correct.
But I'm going to sit at a 4.
Okay.
Because I do think that it's all disappointing.
Correct.
Because there is something there that they could have. There's like brain fuel there. We've had discussions about so many ways that the movie could be improved, and there is a good movie buried in there. But it isn't what I really think is just standard. I don't feel I felt more negative about it as time moves on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of how I have to go. I think I have to go with 4, just if I'm being honest with myself.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you said it perfectly for yourself, because as we've conversed about Tron Ares since we've seen it, you kept dropping it lower and lower and lower, and I think that's what you feel personally. Like from what you talked to me about it, it's like I'm gonna give it a 5. It was mediocre. Nothing really fantastic other than the music. Now, the reason why I gave it a 5 and not anything lower is because when those music notes and points and scenes hit properly, man, I got so much chills just listening to it in the theater with the perfect sound and all that other stuff. They did absolutely fantastic and was the only shining star throughout the movie.
It's such a shame because I do think they're worth watching. I think that there's a couple of scenes in there that are worth seeing, but
just watch them separately.
Yeah, just wait for the clips to drop.
Just watch those. If 9 Inch Nails does a music video of their music from Tron, Ares, then you will get the experience.
They just gonna clip them. Hopefully they do that. Maybe I checked after we kind of talked about it.
Yeah,
and they're more like visual like music videos. They're not the actual clips.
They don't even want to be attached.
But
to
I don't know. Maybe they will in the future. You know, like
Yeah.
after the dust settle and it's after enough time has passed and they're no longer trying to put butts in the seats.
That would make
maybe
sense.
they'll do it. You know,
Yeah.
so who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, maybe you can see those scenes in all their glory and not have to watch the rest of the movie for it. So
Yeah.
But anyways, next movie we're going to talk about is one that I showed Mike.
This is a curveball of a movie.
This is a little fun little movie called Hard Boiled by John Woo. So what did you think about this one? Because you had asked me, you're just like, I want you to show me some more crazy Matt movies, and I was like, hey, well, here's one that's kind of not as crazy as
Correct.
Hundreds of Beavers, but it's still a little different than what I've probably played you before. But.
So if I remember correctly, the reason why we kind of leaned closer into Hard Boiled rather than a complete mind screw of a Matt movie was because we're trying to teach me a little bit more about the history of cinema. And Hard Boiled had a lot of action scenes specifically in them that a lot of other cinematic movies have taken from it.
Yeah, a lot of directors have borrowed tons of stuff from that movie and the other John Woo films because he's kind of like maybe the very first person to ever do like gun fu, but pretty much the person who wrote the Bible for the guys with guns with infinite clips of ammo. Just doing like slow motion shootout scenes and just with tons of explosions and cool poses. And you can easily see where like Quentin Tarantino has been influenced and The Matrix has been influenced and that stuff.
Sure.
You know,
I
mean, it's
John Wick. I can see John Wick having influences from something like that. But like, if you were to look up action movie, Hard Boiled's definitely in there.
Yeah.
You got the explosions, you got the fire, you got the high stakes, bullets flying everywhere.
Yeah, and you throw in like a nice cheesy romance, like 90s romance.
Yeah.
That still gives it such a fun identity of its own,
Absolutely.
Because I know a couple times you're just like this is so funny and cheesy and but eventually you were kind of put off by it. But I think you were kind of won over eventually. I think the cheese kind of eventually you were just like, oh no, I like this.
The whole detective going off the books to find the enemy, and then the enemy being part of everything, including the whole police department and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The classic setup for a story, but the way that it was told was through the magnifying glass of action.
Everything is in service of the action. In fact, the whole movie really, just kind of keeps amping up things, the heat in a lot of ways, but it's all building up to the final action sequence, which is like more than half the movie, I think.
Talk about heat.
And it's the hospital shootout scene, which has to be one of the craziest and best action scenes filmed, especially at the time. Man, can you imagine being like 1992
and seeing that for the first time?
Man, that would have been
when
so
you haven't had a Michael Bay or anything like that.
There's still
to
some
watch.
stuff in that still blows my mind, like that long one-shot take of them
down the hallways,
going down the hallway and through the elevator and everything. It's so good. Yeah.
And the baby scene will stick in my mind forever.
Yeah. They have to evacuate all the babies out of the nursing ward, during this big hospital shootout, hostage situation.
Yeah,
and it's really great. Saliva Sammy is
it.
Maybe one of the best babies in cinema. Maybe probably, but
will live rent free in my brain. I want a pin of Saliva Sammy.
Yeah,
that's just to say
we gotta get one. But I'm really glad that you like the movie as much as I do, and I love I really like the main character Tequila.
Yes,
is played by Chow Yun-Fat. He just has so much charisma.
Absolutely,
he just owns every scene he's in. I showed that to my family, and they were huge fans too. But what would you give it? So
I gave it an 8.
Yeah,
I would love to watch this movie anytime, and knowing how much cinema has taken from it is just a little bit more of a Easter egg kind of slid in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What'd you give it?
I'm the same. It's an 8.
An 8 also?
It's a great movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. I've watched it several times, and I'm never going to probably get tired of it. It's good. And it's all the best parts of it kind of override what little tiny problems it has, because it's not it doesn't have the best writing, and there's a couple scenes that look a little rough. The editing and the camera look a little rough, and there's a couple plot points that are a little cliche. But it's just fun. It's just hits
that
movie.
Point that something inside of your soul that you're just like, this is a bros night movie, and we're gonna have a great time watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, love that. Yep, good stuff. Well, let's move on to the first. That kind of covers the stuff that me and Mike have both seen. Let's cover the first movie you watched on your own. Which one are you covering first?
So,
Five Nights at Freddy's? You're going to go first?
Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Freddy's 2.
Yes.
So did you like the first movie?
I did enjoy the first movie. Not as much as the second one, though. And the reason why I didn't enjoy the first movie was because it didn't take the chances that it needed for a horror movie. I think they were really focusing on their base, who they were filming to. You know what I mean? I think they were really focused on them in the first one and babying it down. Now, they took the second one and absolutely ran with it. There were some jump scares and some scenes in there that you never really see, but they're kind of like in the background, where you're like, this is an absolute horror film. Like, there's no way around it. You even though it's targeted towards kids, the intensity of pretty much every scene after it takes off makes the movie way more interesting, especially since the first one. What they do with the sticking close to the story, there's a couple scenes in there where they're like, this is directly from the game. They stick close to the game. There is an awkward love story within there, but the way that they end the movie makes a lot of sense from the perspective of the characters that they're coming from, and the love story is not as much of a focus without giving too much of spoilers.
Away.
We went with the family. The oldest is really super big into FNAF. Like, he's got a Freddy Fazbear jacket that he wears everywhere. He's got every single pop. He's played every single one of the games. He'll be like spitting some random lore to me one day, and I'm just like, cool, that's awesome, buddy. So to see all of those characters on screen and portrayed properly, and given the edge that they need, really set off the movie for me. I gave it a 7.
Cool.
I think if you're a FNAF fan, definitely see it. If you are a, preteen child and you're interested in it, it's perfectly great. Parents, there's no problems in it. Because it's all in the background and you have to really think about what's actually happening. I think they hit the nail on the head for making a sequel that improves the movies. That improves the whole story.
That's cool. Well, I think that the person that made Five Nights at Freddy's was the main writer of the second movie this time around. So I think he had more control over how it came out.
How they need to do it.
Yeah, which is good. I'm glad it's a fun movie. Seems like most of the people that like Five Nights at Freddy's are really like it.
I hear the critics don't like it, but the fans are like raving.
Which I think, well, hey, that's what you want, in this case.
For sure. It's a fan movie. All right, my friend.
I'm gonna do Companion. So Companion's a tough one to talk about because this movie, the whole conceit is that there's like 3 couples that go on like a couples retreat out into the woods in this like kind of Airbnb kind of resort, and the movie is a psychological thriller with some very interesting elements, extra genre elements that I don't even want to say what they are. Because the movie has like a Sixth Sense or Shyamalan-esque
plot
twist. But the twist happens towards the beginning of the movie, and then it rides out the twist through the back half of the whole film. But not knowing what it is, like what the movie is getting at, is like half the fun, because when it happens, like when the movie reveals what kind of movie it's actually what movie it's going to be. Like, the ride is just amplified.
Wow.
And then, but kind of talking about it in general terms, I think it's fun. It's a kind of a combination of it's kind of like maybe a little campy, a little funny, while also kind of still having the violence, still having the thrills and spills that you would expect out of a suspenseful thriller, but it's not so as heavy as like certain movies out there that you could see. It definitely is still something that feels like a movie you could throw on with your family or friends during Halloween time.
Okay.
And it's probably the best time to watch it, even though it kind of gets outside of just being like a horror film. That's the only thing I will say. during its runtime. So
Gotcha.
But I think the ride is fun, so I'm gonna give it a 7 as well.
7.
Yep, we can't talk about it super detailed because I don't want to spoil it for people, other than just tell people to go check it out. I think it is it's a very pleasant surprise this year for me.
It's like what was the one we watched with
Begonia?
It's like Begonia. Yeah. You can't watch it twice.
It's like Begonia, but if the twist in Begonia happened like 45 minutes in.
Wow.
And then it just was like, oh, then what happens now?
What happens next?
Yeah, so cool stuff. Definitely check it out.
Next up, I'll talk about How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes.
The live-action movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite series. The animated movies are so much fun. The story of loss from the first one to the third one is just so heart-wrenching and lovely to see this kid grow up in a world where he doesn't fit in, and then uses that uniqueness to change the world, to change everything around him. It's kind of like what I wish Elio would have done. Elio was unique, but instead of his uniqueness changing the universe, his uniqueness had to be pushed back down.
Yeah.
In How to Train Your Dragon, it's about how you use that uniqueness and go forward. And the live action movie stuck really close to its original, which is, in my opinion, much needed if you're going to do a remake that's a live action. Don't try to step so far out of bounds that you're making it another movie.
Yeah, while still pretending like it's an adaptation of the same movie.
Exactly.
That's the deal. It's like, because that was the big problem with some of the live action films, and I was talking to my brother about this, and it, because like the problem with some of these is that it's an adaptation of an adaptation, or a remake of an adaptation of a book.
Correct.
So instead of going back to the source material and saying, "Hey, I'm going to do my own take on it," we're doing a remake of an of a take.
Oh yes, correct.
And then we're changing it from there, and you just like the scope is you're much more restricted. So it's much better to either like go, "Hey, I'm going to do this story, and I'm just going to really do my own version of it," and it's not.
But don't call it the same thing,
right? Or unless it's like Frankenstein,
like a remake
or a Christmas Carol, because because we have like 40, 50, 60 adaptations of A Christmas Carol.
Correct.
But a lot of them people like. It isn't just like every single one after the first one people hate. Like people have like, there's multiple beloved versions of A Christmas Carol, and some of them play them pretty straight to the source material, and just, and actually multiple can. I think it's kind of something that, and then others go really, really crazy off course.
Correct.
And like you said, it's the two directions you have, but you can't really play it
in the middle.
You can't make like a really safe, complete 1-1 adaptation of like.
You either have to be extremely artistic or extremely on the point.
I think with How to Train Your Dragon, from what I've heard, it's like you take the source material, you expand on it a little bit, like you've said, but at the same time, it's like we had a conversation about this where this will be the introduction that people have to this story, and in order to keep that idea alive, sometimes you gotta like resell the story. A Christmas Carol remained in the public conscious because there was a lot of great actors and a lot of great directors that had come in and done it. Even if multiple of those are very, very similar, or they're very structurally the same with little changes here and there, it still is like A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And I think that even though we hate to admit it, sometimes we got to do it. And so a version of How to Train Your Dragon that's done by the guy who made the original one.
Fantastic.
He has complete control over it. It's done equally as good, just in a different medium. So it kind of exists in a different like art style for people that like live action stories more than animated ones. You're able to target a different group of people and a newer audience, and then both of them exist as two,
and both of them appreciate
takes of the same story, which is hard to do. But if you can do it, that is absolutely one of the best things you could do for an adaptation.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that to hear from what you've said about it that this one went that way.
It did.
Because we've seen other movies, and you know how much I dislike the Lilo and Stitch
remake
from this year, because that
completely ruined the story.
Everything they changed was for the worse. And it's funny because Lilo and Stitch, the original movie, and the original How to Train Your Dragon movie was done with the same person. And Disney
decided
for
to
some
not
reason
make
decided to not get the guy that made the How to Train Your Dragon movie do the Lilo and Stitch live action one. And jokes on them because everyone loves the How to Train Your Dragon movie, and everyone's kind of people like this Lilo and Stitch movie, but it's not going to have the longevity that this
How to Train Your Dragon.
it's not going to. So
yeah, it looks stunning too. Like every single scene was beautiful. The scene with Hiccup and Astrid on Toothless absolutely blowed my mind. Like it's just like everything I wanted from the first one, and dialed up a lot more to make it a little bit more.
So do you think it's better?
Believable.
Do you think it's better than the animated movie?
See, that's
for you.
That's a really tough question, Matt.
Yeah.
That's a really tough question. So what the original did for me was set the bar, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the live action one, honestly, since I'm approaching it from an older perspective, and it can actually analyze it a lot better than I could back in the day. And since it fits so much to the first one and gives more information, I do believe that the live action one is better than the first.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
For those reasons specifically. Now, we will have to see what the other ones do if they do make more. I hope they do. I would love to see the trilogy completely live action remade as close to the heart as this one did.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. From what you're saying, I hope they do too, because they could maybe also improve the second movie, which was the weakest of the three for me.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it'd be cool to see them just
for him to dig into his story of the second one and actually get what he should from it and give what he needs to it.
Yeah.
I gave it a 10. I mean, it was splendid.
Yeah.
It was a perfect movie in my perspective. Like, I put it right up there with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I absolutely adore dragons and the creativeness that they put into every single one of their dragons and the character that they have, and just, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Fantastic. Well, I love that. Heck yeah. Well, I guess with that in mind, I'm going to go into a movie called The Mastermind.
The Mastermind.
Which you read a review of mine for. I put it on Letterboxd.
That one.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is a heist movie made by a lady named Kelly Reichardt. I apologize if I messed up your last name, Kelly. But she's known for making very slow-paced, very kind of thought-provoking character study kind of movies. And this is really no different, but this kind of follows a self-proclaimed mastermind. He never says it. The movie's titled that, and the audience is goes in with the expectation that he is a mastermind, but you get hit with the reality that he's not. He is just a regular upper middle class Joe Blow who's for some reason very bored of his life. His very moderately successful life. He's financially well off. He has a loving wife. His kids. Maybe there's a little tiny bit of disconnect there just kind of going on, but nothing extreme. Everyone still likes him. For some reason, he just wants to start a life of crime.
Spice things up.
He plans this art heist, which is very poorly planned, and it kind of is a movie about this guy who basically has a lot of stuff that people would kind of envy, especially considering now with the way kind of a lot of the financial situations people are in.
Yeah.
But look at this guy, and he just basically takes everything he has, throws it away for nothing, essentially, because it doesn't work. But then he doesn't learn anything. He doesn't take accountability for anything he does. And he's so self-absorbed that he kind of leads himself into his own, basically, arrest, and also his own, immolation of all of his relationships in his life. And it's really interesting. The movie does a really clever thing where the music that's being played is like really exciting, like really like this like really killer upbeat jazz score, but the movie is so slow paced, so turgid, that it's like you kind of get the perspective that's kind of like what he is kind of envisioning himself being like this cool art heist guy, but the reality is he's just lame.
He's just like a kid playing.
And the director has like no compassion for this man.
Gotcha.
And nothing that's depicted that he does is depicted as cool or profound or anything like that. I mean, the movie is very apathetic to this man and his.
Well, he's not doing the right things either.
No, and so it's a very interesting film because the movie has a glaring problem with the pacing, in my opinion. The pacing, and I've seen other movies of hers, and this one, I think some of the scenes drag on a little bit too much. Like, it has a really good first act, but in the back half of the movie, it really, really slows down to the point where I don't know if it entirely works, because I think slow-paced movies, oftentimes some of my favorite movies are slow-paced, but I'm still gripped, even in the scenes that are there. And I think this kind of loses me. I started kind of like being very aware of the time and how much time was passing, and the fact was it's like, oh man, like
you
when
were pulled out of it.
Going to end, you know? And then it has a really good ending at the end of the movie. But then I was thinking, I'm like, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, well, it's very fitting thematically for this guy to just, for everything just to end on a wet fart for his story, because he doesn't deserve anything cool to happen.
Correct.
So it's a movie that like works more the more I think about it, and even the stuff I didn't like is kind of works in a thematic way. Mm-hmm. But I can't also pretend that it isn't. It is also as enjoyable as some of her other films or other movies I watched this year. Very interesting movie, very thought-provoking film that I enjoyed thinking about. I'm just thinking of 6 right now, because even though it has so many things I like about it, that back half just really kind of
brought it down
and kind of like I kind of got taken out of the experience too much for me to give it a higher rating. But yeah. I don't know. I've been like talking myself into liking it more and more as time goes on.
Is that what you should do?
So who knows?
Should you talk yourself?
Well, no, just like maybe not talk. It's just like the more I like internally monologue, the more I'm like, that makes sense. I kind of like that. That's kind of funny. It's kind of daring that this director would do this, like troll the audience in this way. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, who knows?
The fact you're still chewing on it though means that it still needs a little bit of effort.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie that I think that you should watch if it sounds like kind of interesting. If you want to watch this kind of like deep kind of character study, but just know that like it definitely frustrated the audience. Like, I was laughing into the movie because the audacity of the end and how it all wraps up, but a lot of other people in the theater I was with were mad. You could tell. I was looking around the theater. They were. So I mean, you definitely.
It's like friendship for me.
Yeah, but it was. But instead of you being like the only person that kind of felt that way, it'd be like the reverse, where I'm the only person that's like happy about what happened, and everybody else is just quiet, frustrated, angry, grumbling to themselves.
I spent my time watching this.
Yeah. So yeah, just know that going in. But it's cool. But who knows? In 2 years, it might climb to a 7. Who knows? The world's funny that way. But what's your next one?
So I watched Hellraiser 1 and 2 for the first time right before Halloween this year. And I'm not a horror fan. I really don't like the kind of gory, scary, like guts all over the place kind of movies or TV shows.
Which Hellraiser kind of is.
That's the only thing.
The first one.
The second one.
Well, the second one is similar too. But
the reason why I want to talk about Hellraiser 1 and 2 is because 2 changed my perspective on horror movies. Mm-hmm. But I can't talk about 2 without talking about 1 just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Hellraiser 1 is definitely a product of its time, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, like, not just visual ickiness, but, like, situational ickiness between the characters and the setting and stuff like that, where I felt more uncomfortable watching it than I did falling into the universe. You know, it didn't grip me, because most of the time I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, this happened. It shouldn't have been this way. Why is she doing this? and it was cringe the whole time. I gave it a 2. And I'm gonna make a pun here.
Yeah.
Hellraiser 1 just did not feel as fleshed out.
Yeah.
As it should have been.
Yeah.
You don't get anything about the story other than it happens.
Mm-hmm.
No reasons, nothing like that. Which, to be honest, it's a really interesting perspective.
Because I think they wanted the evil to have not like almost like in a. It's been a long time to watch this, so forgive me if I'm wrong out here, but it's kind of like they didn't want there to be any truths about the origin of the Cenobites
to be open
or the
ended
box or anything like that. They're just like, hey, no. And sometimes like some evils don't need to have a reason to exist, and the fact that they're just there and people can just happen upon it is scary. Is what makes it scary. Sometimes I think.
And so it felt like to me, and I think this is what it culminates to. Why I don't like it. It just felt gory to be gory.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of that. If you're gonna make it gory, have a reason for it. Mm-hmm. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Just because you have a bunch of hooks laying around doesn't mean you have to do what you did with them.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I gave it a 2. Now, Hellraiser 2 is what changed my perspective on horror movies. Because Hellraiser 2 was extremely interesting.
Yeah.
There was so much that they did in Hellraiser 2 that it gave me the backstory, the fantasy vibe, and it gave me the suspense that I craved from the first one, and that I really enjoy in most of the movies that I give a high rating, that the first one didn't. Hellraiser 2 was more fleshed out. It felt a lot like Labyrinth, in my opinion. And the creativeness that they really put into the Cenobites and the world that they came from, and the how much substance it gave, changed my mind. I might be tweaking I might be leaning a little bit more towards liking horror in that kind of sense, because it really gave us a reason for why everything was as gruesome and horrible as it is in the Hellraiser world.
Yeah, right.
It was also just extremely creative.
Yeah.
And I gave it an 8.
Yeah.
Like I like Hellraiser 2 enough.
Yeah.
To watch it again.
Yeah. Do you think that it'll retroactively make the first one any better? Do you think that's still just going to stay kind of just...
So...
like, you don't think, like, with the context of what you learned in the second one, it'll make the first one better? Do you think the first one's just still going to feel like just a gory kind of...
So, you need a little bit of history from the first one to watch the second one. Yeah. It's not detrimental if you don't watch the first one. Yeah. So honestly, if you skip the first one and watch the second one, you'll still enjoy it. Mm-hmm. If you're coming from like a perspective of someone who doesn't like horror, but you're not going to get as much out of it,
right?
As you would if you watched the first one.
So you're just like, Hellraiser 2 is in your rotation. Hellraiser 1 is just...
Now that I've already seen Hellraiser 1, I don't have to watch it again, and I'm
done.
okay with that.
Okay. You know what I'm going to love is seeing you try to put clips of that down here.
It's going to be interesting.
Movies,
I mean, it was you're
going to get this thing like taken off your video taken off YouTube.
So I mean, it had to have some kind of trailer somewhere that was okay for TV. It's just going to be like Hellraiser, and it's going to have the girl and Pinhead, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just be all the scenes of people talking.
Yeah, and no actually
nothing. Yeah,
I will say, from a thematic perspective and a logistics perspective, the body being recreated in Hellraiser 1 was extremely interesting looking.
Yeah,
especially for the time that it was made.
That's the best thing about those movies from that time, the practical effects.
Yeah,
because some of them, because they're tangible, they're way more visceral in very strange ways, even though they should feel more fake. But I don't know, they're not, because you actually
see the way that it exists in the actual world, because it actually does exist in the actual world.
Yeah, yeah.
And it uses stop motion in a perfect way.
Yeah,
Because stop motion creeps me out.
yeah.
So so that was probably the best part of the movie until it got to the emotional scenes, and it was just no.
Too much. All right, we're getting close to the end of here. I'm gonna go Eddington next. Ari Aster's political fever dream movie. Eddington was a tough pill to swallow. It's still extremely divisive. One of the most divisive movies of the year. About a small town, about like a politician and a sheriff butting heads during COVID, and it's really kind of a movie depicting the kind of absurdity of the current climate of the United States in a way.
Interesting.
It's like being locked in a room with every single person on Facebook that you blocked because of everything that they were posting over the last 5 years. As they're in this big slugfest with each other, and then it's just like similar to like Do the Right Thing, where everything just boils to a breaking point and just gets insane. This movie does the same thing.
Gotcha.
It's a movie that kind of pokes fun at both sides of the fence, which some people didn't like. Although I definitely think that if you've seen it, while it does make fun of both sides, I think the people that say it's completely a centrist movie and it doesn't have a message need to rewatch the movie, because it absolutely does, and he definitely depicts one side in a much worse light than the other one. So I don't think it's as centrist as people think. I just think that some people just don't like being made fun of. The movie's not afraid to do it in a very South Park Boondocks kind of way,
Yeah.
So
that's always something that I've respected about South Park, though, is that they'll make fun of everybody and everything that they can.
Yeah.
And I think that's respectable, considering how you're not just picking on one side or the other.
Yeah. So I think that going in, and it's kind of interesting because Ari Aster started by making very intense horror films, like two of the most acclaimed horror movies the last 10 years, Hereditary and Midsummer, and which are very violent, very gruesome, very intense, but emotionally very intense as well.
Heavy.
Where the character explorations are really great, and he continued on with that in this movie. Even though it's a horror movie of a different kind, it's more of the horrors of modern life instead of it being like a possession movie or whatever. But it's a very interesting direction that he's went in. But I think he executes it very, very well. Even though it's not a movie that's like pleasant, it's a movie that is like such a ride. And like Joaquin Phoenix's character in this,
oh wow,
because he plays the sheriff, is just one of my favorite characters he's ever played. He's so like he's so interesting. Like the directions that his character goes in is just fascinating, and it's deeply humorous too. I would say there's definitely a hard comedic element to the movie as well. That just was kind of greatly impressed by, and I'm going to sit with an 8 on this one.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a great movie. I think it is one of the better movies of the year, but it's just not going to be everybody's cup of tea, so.
Cool. I think we've pretty much done what we can.
Yeah.
We could hop into a couple of other ones, but the video's getting kind of long.
I agree. Because I want to say one thing real quick.
Sure.
About one movie I saw, which I'm not going to do crazy long thing on it, but I watched Peking Opera Blues with my family. Shout Factory recently re-released the movie. It's a classic Hong Kong action film, and it is just incredible. They finally fixed the translation in the movie and released it for the first time since 19. It's the first time that people can actually watch the film as people saw it in theaters since like 1980s, like the late 80s. So, and it was an incredible watch to finally watch a movie that I've loved purely based on the visuals and the the physical comedy and the directing and everything. You can clearly see it's also one of those movies that it was released in the same series along with Hard Boiled, and these like where like the company over here has been like taking Hong Kong classics and finally releasing them in the States in like an actually good quality.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I'm gonna show that to you
Okay.
soon, and then we will cover it in one of these catch-up videos.
Let's do it.
But I just want to let everybody know that it's out there, and it's a 9 out of 10. It's fantastic, so go watch it if you can.
Support it.
Please.
Cool. So thank you guys for being here. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Join us on the Discord, and thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. As always, see you on the clip side.
Bye, everybody.